The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need them. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like calluses. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman.
What is up? Welcome in to yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. Thank you so much for making this a part of your day. However you are watching, however you are following, however you are listening, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or for free on the iHeartRadio app, we appreciate it all. YouTube, you put a face to the voice and you are watching on there. Thank you so much for your continued support on that platform. We are continuously closing in on 1,000 subscribers. Cannot wait for that monumental day to come because you guys continue to show amazing support. So thank you for that. So don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe, tell a friend or don't, and you just want to keep this amazing opinions and information all to yourself. I get it. It is a very, very popular show. So with that being said, we have a flurry of topics to talk about today on the Ben Garcia Show. There is a million things going on, even some breaking news that just broke maybe half an hour ago from the time that I am filming this. We're going to talk some Justin Fields, some NFL draft, some trade rumors going on, and we are also going to talk some NFL playoffs. Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, who would I start a franchise with? We will talk about that as well later on in the show. But with all that being said, let's get started hot and heavy with our number one topic, the hottest thing on our plate, and let's jump right into it. So this was actually not what I was going to lead my show with today. I was going to talk about something else, but I pulled into my driveway, walked into my apartment, saw I got a notification on my phone, and to say I was shocked, to say the least, was interesting. I checked my phone, and the Dallas Cowboys are deciding to keep Mike McCarthy for another year. They're going to run it back. They maybe like what Mike McCarthy did this year. Maybe the playoffs was a one-off, but I have a strong opinion on it, like I normally do. So let's get into it. The Dallas Cowboys, at this point, are just okay with average. They're just okay with being okay. Win 10, win 11, win 12 games on the year, get to the playoffs, and mostly disappoint your fan base. This is not the Cowboys of the 90s, of the triplets, the Mike Irvings, the Troy Aikman, the Emmitt Smith days. This is not those kind of Dallas Cowboys. This is what I've been trying to tell Dallas Cowboys fans for a long time. You might think you're them boys, but you are just not. You have been an irrelevant franchise for 30. That's a harsh way to put it. But you have been a largely irrelevant franchise for 20 plus 25 years, it feels like now. You have less Super Bowl appearances than the Arizona Cardinals. You have less NFC Championship appearances than the Arizona Cardinals. You have less playoff wins than the Arizona Cardinals since the turn of the year 2000. That's abysmal. You are a subpar franchise. So it shouldn't shock me when I see the Dallas Cowboys decide it'd be a good idea to bring back Mike McCarthy. There is only one thing you could really change this offseason. I have lobbied that Dak Prescott is not the quarterback that's going to take you to the promised land. And I've continuously been right on that. Every single year, and I'm going to get on a little bit of a tangent here, I have told Dallas Cowboys fans, the reason why you are unable to win multiple playoff games in the same year is because you have a B- quarterback, a B quarterback at best, a quarterback that does really well at home against the Commanders, against Mac Jones and the Patriots, and against Zach Wilson and the Jets. Dak Prescott looks pretty freaking good. But when it comes to playoff time and teams really hone in and figure out what your weaknesses are, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys will never deliver. And the reasoning for that is Dak Prescott makes too much money. He makes way too much money. $40 million large, and he's going to get an extension north of $50 million this year in the offseason. And they'll complain. I had one Dallas Cowboys fan Good guy. I enjoy him. I'm not throwing him under the bus. Good dude. But he would tell me it would be better if they had a running game. Well, you can't get a good running back. You can't sign a good running back. You can't get a third wide receiver. You have to settle for Brandon Cooks. You can't get everyone on the defense you want because your quarterback makes elite tier money and he's just a good quarterback. He doesn't suck, but he's just a good quarterback. So that's the only thing I would say that the Dallas Cowboys could change. They decided against it, and they'll continue to decide against it. Jerry Jones loves him some Dak Prescott. He finds him elite. He pays him elite money. So instead of paying him good money for a good quarterback and being able to build around him, they continuously lie to themselves and explain to themselves that they have a top-tier quarterback, which they just don't have. So they were never going to get rid of Dak Prescott, no matter how much I have lobbied and said that they should do that. So what's the next thing for Dallas Cowboys fans to do? Well, or the Dallas Cowboys organization to do? Get rid of Mike McCarthy. Because as much as I got upset with Dak Prescott for his play on Saturday, Sunday, can't remember the day, doesn't really matter. As much as I got mad at him for his play on Sunday, Saturday, they also came incredibly out flat. That defense that was pin your ears back and get the pass rusher was non-existent. And it'd be unfair of me to not label those things as non-existent. Mike McCarthy, the game plan was not great. He's not a great motivator. He obviously, schematically, thought he could do more to his former team than he really could do. So, you had to move on. It was an obvious thing that they should move on from Mike McCarthy. I don't think it's really going to change anything, barring they get a Jim Harbaugh level higher. But look at the coaching candidates out there. Ask yourself this. If Mike McCarthy was on the market today, who would hire him? What team would hire him? If Mike McCarthy got fired today, or even it was just a mutually parting of ways, who would hire him? Seattle sure wouldn't. Atlanta sure wouldn't. The Titans would not. Those teams are not hiring Mike McCarthy. No one is. So if that's the case, why would you keep him as your head coach? Why would you keep Mike McCarthy? It's the same argument I had for Matt Eberflus of the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys both looked at their head coaches, Matt Eberflus and Mike McCarthy, and then inversely looked at the coaching candidates available, Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick, Jim Harbaugh, Ben Johnson, and all said, nah, we're going to stick with Mike McCarthy and Matt Eberflus, who have a combined, 2 playoff wins if you combine the Cowboys and Chicago Bears playoff wins? 2? Clock management is a problem with Mike McCarthy. Obviously, schematically, that's a problem in the playoffs for Mike McCarthy. Outside of having Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, not a lot of playoff success for Mike McCarthy. So I don't understand how you look at the coaching candidates available, Jim Harbaugh, Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, and not even try. How do you not even try for one of those guys? It's abysmal. I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan. I've been labeled a Dallas Cowboys hater. But the NFL is just better when the Dallas Cowboys are good. Every single league needs an enemy. LeBron James was an enemy for the NBA when he was on the Heat. The NBA needed that. The NFL needs a common enemy. The NFL needs a villain. Villains are good. I love villains. Some of my favorite make movies awesome. The NFL is just better. It's more fun when the Cowboys are good because it's fun to rag on the Cowboys if you hate the Cowboys. And it's fun to love the Cowboys if you love the Cowboys. This is a lateral move. I don't understand how you couldn't break it down in the simplest of terms. If you let go of Mike McCarthy today, who would hire him? And it just shows what the Dallas Cowboys organization is over the last 25 years. Look at the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll just had a playoff appearance. He has a Super Bowl. He's won multiple playoff games in his times, and he just won 9 games with Geno Smith as his quarterback. 9 games. Seattle said, nope, not good enough. You know who they're planning to bring in for an interview? Ben Johnson, who is looks to be schematically a better coach offensively than Mike McCarthy. So there you go. 25 years continuously of mediocrity, and they're going to continue with it. They'll win 10, they'll win 11 games next year, but then they'll flame out in the playoffs like they always do. Clock management, schematically, Mike McCarthy's not good at either. And it's crazy to me how you can look at Mike McCarthy and then look at the other head coaching candidates, Jim Harbaugh, Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Bill Belichick, and say, you know what, we're going to stick with Mike McCarthy because it's the evil that they know. Crazy, irrelevant, continuously spiraling the drain franchise, largely irrelevant over the past 2 decades and a half. The Dallas Cowboys continuously lower their fan base's expectations, and I just cannot believe after Sunday's debacle against the Packers that Mike McCarthy's keeping his job. Let's talk Chicago Bears, who have also been in the news recently. Justin Fields, the NFL draft, the NFL offseason has began for all the subpar teams in the NFL, the sad sack of franchises in the NFL, including my team, the Arizona Cardinals, who are not participating in the divisional round this weekend, are indeed participating in the early offseason. And when the early offseason hits and the NFL draft hits, there becomes smoke screens, there becomes rumors, there becomes ways to hype up maybe a guy you want to sell, or maybe throw some things out there, whisper to large reputable reporters, maybe things you don't like to have players slip to you in the draft. There's many smoke screens that go on in the NFL offseason, and this is just another one of them. So Mel Kiper Jr. said on ESPN, he's a draft guy, draft analyst guy, Mel Kiper Jr., been around since I was a kid, and before that, Mel Kiper Jr. suggests that the Chicago Bears could not only fetch a first-round pick for Justin Fields, he specifically named the Atlanta Falcons and said that the Chicago Bears could indeed fetch the 8th overall pick from the Atlanta Falcons. So many questions here. On what planet is Justin Fields getting a better pick than what he was originally drafted? If I'm not mistaken, I have it right here. Justin Fields was drafted with the 11th overall pick in the draft. Justin Fields has proved absolutely nothing in the NFL. Justin Fields, at the best, has lowered his draft stock minimally since he's came into the league. So I know it's a quarterback need in the NFL. I totally get that. I totally get that quarterback play is entirely important, and maybe you want to roll the dice on Justin Fields and not roll it on, say, Bo Nix in the NFL draft if you're the Atlanta Falcons, or Jaden Daniels. Maybe Jaden Daniels falls. It's a long way till April. Things get weird until the NFL draft actually commences. But in what universe has Justin Fields raised himself to be traded for more than what he was originally drafted by? They'd be lucky. The Justin Fields Chicago Bears trade rumors. The Chicago Bears. Some people have suggested a second-round pick. I know I saw that today on The Herd. Colin Cowherd basically said if they get a second-round pick, they should run and get it. I totally agree with that. But they won't get a second. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm being condescending and way too high on my horse. Quarterback play is exceedingly important in the NFL. And although maybe I don't believe in Justin Fields, if you do believe in Justin Fields, you could justify giving a second-round pick. But if you get offered 2 third-round picks for Justin Fields, they should take it. Justin Fields has proven nothing in the NFL. 0. No matter how much Bears fans want to continue fantasizing over a quarterback that has been largely irrelevant and bad in the NFL. I don't understand what Bears fans see in this quarterback. I've watched a multitude of Bears games. He's electric. If you just made a highlight reel, a 3-minute highlight reel of Justin Fields, that guy might go number 1 overall in a complete player pool of an NFL draft consisting of everyone in the NFL. But Justin Fields, there's just no way that he could get more or fetch more than 2 third-round picks. At most a second-round pick, but I don't even believe that. Everyone knows the Chicago Bears' hands. Everyone knows they've tipped their hand. They're absolutely taking Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick. If you don't believe the Chicago Bears are taking if you don't believe the Chicago Bears are taking Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick, you live in a fantasy land and you don't know what you're talking about because they're taking Caleb Williams. So when you add all those things together, Justin Fields has been a subpar quarterback in the NFL. There is no way, no how he has raised his level of play enough to get more compensation than what he was originally drafted for. The 8th overall pick, he was drafted with the 11th overall pick. And statistically speaking, he's been bad as a passer, been bad as an overall quarterback in the NFL. And adding the factor that everyone knows the Bears have to take a quarterback, they're not going to keep Justin Fields on their lineup as the backup, and knowing that you probably have to give Justin Fields a contract extension, you think you're going to get a first-round pick. Bears fans, you're insane if you think that's happening. It's not happening. Let me smash those dreams and go ahead and wake up from Fantasyland. Justin Fields is not worth a first-round pick. I don't think he's worth a second-round pick. Maybe he gets that, but Justin Fields is a 2/3 kind of guy as a quarterback. Justin Fields, in the fourth quarter, the most important of all things in the NFL. How do you perform when the pressure's on most? Justin Fields' fourth quarter stats, roughly 50% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 6 picks, 646 yards this past season. That's just awful. He's never played a full season in the NFL, meaning he has some durability concerns, maybe not as durable concerns as Joe Burrow may seem like at times. He's never played a full season. And in his time in the NFL, his complete collaborative time in the NFL, his career stats, 40 touchdowns to 30 picks and an 86.3 passer rating. Oh, and his record as a starter is 10-28. And anyone that tries to tell me wins aren't a quarterback stat, why the heck do all the good quarterbacks have really good records? Tom Brady in his time had a really good record. Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa under Mike McDaniels had a really good record. Should I keep on? Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. All those guys have one thing in common. They're really good. Oh, and another thing in common, they have a really good win-to-loss ratio. So don't try to tell me wins aren't a quarterback stat. So stop living in Fantasyland, Bears fans. You're not getting a first-round pick for Justin Fields. You're not getting Marvin Harrison Jr. This weird pipe dream that you're going to keep on holding on to Justin Fields is crazy. Get out of your own way. Justin Fields has not shown, even for a 4-game stretch, that he is a capable, good to great quarterback in the NFL. He just hasn't shown it, no matter how much you want to act like he's shown it. He hasn't. And I don't know what the infatuation with Bears fans is for a largely mediocre quarterback. They are just incredibly just in love, infatuated. I'll never get the infatuation for a subpar quarterback in Justin Fields that Bears fans continuously have for a guy whose stats are not good in the NFL. His fourth quarter stats are even worse, meaning when the game gets longer and when the pressure gets harder, you fade like tissue paper in a rainstorm. You're not getting a first-round pick. Be happy if you get 2/3. Be extremely happy if you get a second-round pick. I wouldn't pay that if I was an NFL GM, but also, I'm not an NFL GM. Classic Bears organization can't get out of their own way. Justin Fields has not shown he's a good quarterback. The stats show that. The eye test shows that. Maybe he's got some talent in there that someone can help revolutionize, revive his career. But as of right now, you're not getting a first-round pick for Justin Fields. It ain't happening. I'm going to say the thing that no one else in the media will say. I'm going to say the thing that no one on social media will say, because no one is giving this team a puncher's chance this weekend. But I think I'm going to. The Green Bay Packers have a very legitimate shot of beating the San Francisco 49ers. Now, what do I mean by that? The Packers and Niners play this weekend, and almost no one, and I mean no one, is giving them a shot to win. They are nearly a double-digit underdog, which I just don't get. I'm not a huge betting guy. Don't take my betting advice because I'm not going to act like I'm this huge bookie. But 10 points is a lot of points. And if I was a betting man, I would absolutely take the Packers and the points there. But that's neither here nor there. The Packers should be underdogs. But to not give them a shot, I think is absolutely insane. The Green Bay Packers defense is abysmal. It showed up really well in the first half of the Cowboys game. It showed up really well against Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs against the Minnesota Vikings, and it showed up pretty well against Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. But in the second half, the Cowboys were having their way with the Packers secondary. They completely changed up their game plan. I get it goes into a lot of prevent defenses if you're up really big. But for the most part, the Green Bay Packers defense was Swiss cheese, for lack of a better term, and pardon the pun. But they were just Swiss cheese all over, holes all over that defense. Pass rush is okay, the linebackers are and the secondary is having a real tough time covering people. Joe Barry will likely lose his job at the end of the season. And Kyle Shanahan is licking his chops. So that's the part right there where I'm just going to be honest with Packers fans and say that is going to be a steep hill to climb. Two things, though, are favoring the Packers this weekend. One, the 49ers, the second Brock Purdy takes his next snap, it will be a 3-week difference. He didn't play in the very last week. Remember, he didn't play in Week 18 against the Rams. He didn't play, obviously, in the wild card weekend. They had the bye. That's 2 weeks. By the time they play their next game, it will be nearly a month when Brock Purdy took his last snap. Rust plays a factor sometimes. I don't know if I agree with the fact of sitting your quarterback and not playing him at all in Week 18. Kyle Shanahan is a mastermind, so I'm not going to go ahead and go after him too much there. But if you remember some of those Packer runs in the playoffs, it was all about getting hot at the right time. Remember RELAX. Relax. The year the Packers, Super Bowl 51, I believe it was, they didn't go to that Super Bowl, but that's the Super Bowl year it was. They ran the table. Made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. As a lower seed, they played on the road against Atlanta in that in that NFC Championship game. It's all about getting hot. And the Packers are playing hot. So if the Packers can continue to steamroll with this offense against a 49ers defense that is good, but it's not elite at all. It's 10th in sacks, which is good. It's 15th in pass defense in terms of yards, which is middle of the pack. And then a really good rushing defense coming in at third in terms of yards. So not a great matchup for the Green Bay Packers. But again, we talked about the first thing. The Niners have been sitting for a really long time. Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy. It'll be almost a month before they take their next snap on Sunday against the Green Bay Packers. And here's another thing. I'm just going to be honest with you, 49ers fans. The Green Bay Packers have the quarterback advantage here. The better quarterback right now, and I would take to start my franchise with, and I've been on this boat longer than anyone else. I was tooting this horn before the season started. Jordan Love is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. Jordan Love, over his last 10 games, 11 games, if you do count, which we're going to, the last game that they just played against the Dallas Cowboys, 2,939 yards, 26 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a passer rating of 110, north of 110. It's safe to say he's dialed in right now. And before all the Brock Purdy fanboys come after me, before San Francisco 49ers fans come after me, they love to do that. They love to say I'm a Brock Purdy hater. They love to say I hate Brock Purdy. I've talked to Brock Purdy on 2 occasions. He's an incredibly nice guy, and he's incredibly easy to root for. I'm not coming after him as an actual person. We're talking about sports here, 49ers fans. I know it's hard to wrap your mind around the fact that you can separate sports from the person, but you can actually do that. Jordan Love's the better quarterback. And over the last 11 games, including the wild card game, almost 3,000 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a passer rating north of 110. Jordan Love's dialed in. And he's not doing it with the Avengers like Brock Purdy's doing it. There's no Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey. He's got a good head coach in Matt LaFleur. Brock Purdy has that too. Wash those out, even though we all know Kyle Shanahan's a better coach. Jordan Love is doing more with less than Brock Purdy. A lot less than Brock Purdy. And they're all kids. This is the youngest NFL playoff team that we've had in years. Jordan Love is just superior to Brock Purdy. He just is. I'm sorry, Niners fans. It doesn't mean you can't win a Super Bowl. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to pick you this weekend. But if you think this week's going to be a cakewalk, I would disagree with you. I do believe rust, when you sit for 3 weeks, is a little bit of a factor. Can that be knocked off in 2 series? Maybe. And the Packers defense has holes all over it. Kyle Shanahan is licking his chops. But the most important position, the Green Bay Packers have the upper hand in Jordan Love. He's been slicing. He's been dicing. And if Jordan Love goes on a complete heater this weekend, and the 49ers defense, which is not elite, it's not an elite defense, it's a good defense. It's somewhere between good and very good. But those wide receivers, that the young and up-and-coming wide receivers of the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love has got them spinning and catching the ball and running it 70 yards for a touchdown. This Packers team, they're kids. If you remember the Arizona Diamondbacks' improbable World Series run, what was one of the reasons why they made it to the World Series, if you're a baseball head like I am? They just don't know what they don't know. When you're young and you're dumb and no one has warned you from the treacherous, terrifying things that come in the playoffs, you're just playing loose. All of the pressure is on the San Francisco 49ers this weekend. The Packers could get blown out by 40. It doesn't matter. It's already incredibly successful season for the Green Bay Packers. So when you add in those 3 factors, the Green Bay Packers are playing hot, and the San Francisco 49ers have been resting for 3 weeks now in some of their most important positions, like quarterback. Jordan Love is the better quarterback than Brock Purdy, has been on a heater for 11 weeks now. And then you add the fact that the Packers are playing with house money. I'm not picking the Packers to win this weekend. But if they did, I'm telling you, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. Almost every NFL year, every NFL playoffs, there's a surprise team that really makes some noise. They've already made some noise. They're already a surprise team. This season is already a success for them. But if you're asking me to pick between Brock Purdy and Jordan Love, I'm taking Jordan Love. As much as you don't want to hear it, as much as you don't like it, the heater he's been on for 11 weeks now with way less weapons than the San Francisco 49ers, who have, 4 All-Pros this year? I think you're crazy to not take Jordan Love if you were starting a franchise off with. He's been on a heater. The 49ers could come out rusty. 3 weeks resting at very important positions, including quarterback and running back, if I'm not mistaken. And the Packers are playing with house money. They're playing loose. They're a bunch of young gun kids that don't know what they don't know that the playoffs have to offer. So although I will take the 49ers this weekend, it's the safe bet. It's the fair bet. I get it. But this is going to be a tough game for the 49ers. And if they don't come out ready to play, like the Cowboys didn't come out ready to play, there could be an upset a brewing in Santa Clara. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for making the Ben Garcia Show a must-watch every week for you, whether you're listening or watching on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or you want to put a face to the voice and you're watching on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We are also on the free iHeartRadio app. Just search Ben Garcia Show. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Thank you so much for inviting us into your ear holes or however you're watching this show. Next week, we will have more for you guys, more spicy, hot takes on the NFL playoffs. But until next week, like always, it's been the Ben Garcia Show.